The Strangers Chapter 1 was a whole lot of nothing. Now, I am well aware that I am very late to this movie, but when it did come out, I wasn't aware it was out, and I only found out a few months after. One thing led to another, and I wasn't able to watch it when I found out about it. And so we're here months later with me making this review. Now, I am well aware that The Strangers Chapter 1 is a reboot, a remake. I'm not sure which one it is, but it is a reboot or a remake of the 2008 film The Strangers. I haven't watched that film in a long time. I didn't even try to refresh my memory from it to do this commentary, but I will say that I do remember some part of the original, and I will not be mentioning a single thing about the original. That is because I do not feel like The Strangers Chapter 1 being a reboot was part of the problem of why it didn't work. I barely remember the original, and it still did not sit well with me. So without me wasting any more of our time, let's go into the things that truly took away from the movie, in my opinion. Spoilers ahead. I don't know if anyone wants to watch the movie, but if you do, I will be spoiling the entire thing beginning to end. I don't have the strength for a non-spoiler summary, so if you do want to watch it, I would say stop here and hopefully come back when you do watch it. And if you don't want to and you don't really care about spoilers, join me as I show you how this movie drove me insane. Maya, our female character, the unawareness and lack of urgency that they showed in this woman from beginning to end was what completely broke me. Now, I want to say that I don't mind unawareness and lack of urgency in characters, but the way they displayed it in Maya was insulting and unnecessary. Let's start from the beginning, with her agreeing to stay and being absolutely oblivious to everything that was going on around her. Her boyfriend, when their car suddenly stopped working, tells her that this is weird. Our car was fine and then it was not, and now they're offering us this and that. This is not right. And Maya stops him like, oh my goodness. It's not anything like that. It's okay. We'll take it. Thank you. Maya, I cannot believe, because I don't know if she didn't see the hostility that everyone else was showing them when they got into the diner. No one was warm to her. No one said hello. No one greeted her. Now suddenly, out of nowhere, your car stops working, and yeah, we will take the house you're offering because you have been so kind from the start. When you heard I was a vegetarian, you really loved that. You gave me all the props in the world.
What do you think? Negative, Nancy.
But they get to the cabin and the knock comes in, the first knock. Now, in my house, we have a rule that when you hear a knock at the door, unless the TV is on, in fact, no, even when something is on that alerts the person outside that you are in the house, you don't say anything. When I hear a knock and I'm alone, the first thing I do is pick up my phone, because if it's someone I know, they're going to be like, I'm at the door, can you open for me? Maya and her boyfriend, I'm mentioning her boyfriend now, but I'm going to talk about him later. Maya and her boyfriend knew no one, and yet they just opened the door. Fine, I'm not going to point fingers. Some people do that. It's not always a dangerous thing. But again, these people have not been hospitable to you. No one said they were coming over. Why are you opening the door to strangers? Did you order food? You didn't. Did you order drinks? You didn't. Is it Joe, the person you called for the fridge? I don't even remember when she called him. Was it before or after the knock? If it was before, he should have called to say I'm at the door. If it was after, my bad. But they just opened the door. Fine, we move on.
Is Tamara here?
Tamara is not here. That's what they tell her. And then as the lady leaves, Maya herself finally says,
That was weird.
She recognizes that is odd, but then the boyfriend leaves and there is knock 2. For some reason, it's not her boyfriend and she realizes this. The person asks for Tamara again. And Maya reminds her that Tamara isn't there. I give that to Maya, it's fine. She already spoke, so the person knows that she's by the door. She is scared enough to lock the door afterwards and backs away. You can see in her face that this has upsets her as she's worried. But then she just goes to sit down. I mentioned sitting down because there are two things that Maya doesn't do, even though she looks worried. And this is a constant thing until it is revealed that they're being stalked. Maya would experience something, recognize that it is not normal, then Maya would just go, like she would show some fear and discomfort, and then she would just go back to being, oh well. So are you in danger or are you not? Do you recognize that you're in trouble or do you not? Choose one path, Maya. You're driving me insane. Maya locks the door. She is worried enough to lock the front door. But then I see her later on opening the back. So what is the point of locking the front in fear and not immediately going to lock the back? The back is open. That is the second thing. The first thing she did was return to the chair. She looked worried at the door, sat back down, and didn't immediately call her boyfriend. She grabbed the beer instead. I don't mind that she didn't notice her phone was missing and was put in a wrong place than where she left it, because that happens to everyone. I move around my house looking for my glasses and they're on my face, so I get that part. But she sat down, hugged the beer, and then noticed after a bit that her phone was missing. Right? You were worried. This girl came back twice asking for Tamara. Is she retarded? Why would she come back to a place that she knows Tamara isn't in? I can forgive the first time she came asking for Tamara and they replied, because the house was rented out to them on short notice. The person that lived in the house probably maybe didn't tell someone who comes to visit that, oh, I've given the house out to some other people tonight. Their car is spoiled. So maybe she came around looking for Tamara, who used to live in there or who usually isn't there, and Tamara isn't there. So I understand them not immediately being worried when she asked for Tamara. But then she comes back again to ask for Tamara. Was she deaf the first time you told her Tamara wasn't there? But it gets even worse with her obliviousness and lack of urgency. She finds her phone after searching for it, and then hears a woman, not even a man. So a woman is now singing Rockabye Baby around the cabin. The person that came to the door was a woman, and now you're hearing a woman again singing Rockabye Baby. That means the person that was at the door is still on the property after you've told them that Tamara isn't there. She calls her boyfriend finally, right? But then proceeds to go and open the back door. So she knows the front door is locked, so she didn't go out and check over there. But she opens the back door. One, the person was singing. This person, there is nothing in my head that would make me think this person is normal. I have told them twice, it could never be me by the way, but I've told them twice that Tamara is not in this building. And then she doesn't leave. She now starts singing Rockabye Baby of all rhymes around the block. Why are you opening the door? What makes you think that if this person is out there, she wouldn't rush you and come in? It could be a thief. It could be someone unstable, mentally unstable, and they could explode at any moment and you go open the door. Peek your head out. Move your whole body outside of the house. Again, why wasn't that door locked the moment you locked the front door? When I hear commotion outside of my house, first of all the doors in my house are always locked 24/7. You go out, you lock. You come in, you lock. Not only with a key, with a bolt as well. But when I hear commotion outside my house, even though I am on the highest floor in my apartment building, I always go just to make sure that this door is locked. I always, as soon as I hear drama, as interested as I am to do gossip and whatnot, I am locking my doors and then listening to what is going on. Maya heard singing. This person has been at your door twice. Not even casually or jokingly or with pep in their step asking for Tamara. She stares at you in silence and then says, "Is Tamara here?" Tamara is not here, first of all, so why is that door still open? But then she proceeds to even do something worse. She smokes, she drinks more beer. She plays the piano. Are you scared or are you not? Maybe it's just me that's always thinking on high alert, but there is nothing about the situation that will make me calm enough to stop playing the piano. I would understand if she was, fidgeting with the keys, like she's sitting down and just pressing one or two keys and maybe looks thoughtful or something. No, Maya is literally playing, I don't know the name of the song, but she's going crazy on the keyboard. and then we see a stranger behind her. I'm not even going to touch the subject, but then she moves forward with her stupidity. Someone is singing Rockabye Baby around your house. You only locked 2 doors. I don't even remember if she locked the back door in the end, but I'm hoping she did. You've only locked 2 doors. You didn't lock the windows. You didn't check the house. So what makes you think that this person that is singing outside your house cannot pick a rock, break a window or glass, because I think even the back door was glass as well, open it and come in? What makes you think you're that safe that you can take a shower? Not even an alert shower. I wouldn't take a shower nonetheless, but maybe, you know, the thing where you shower with your eyes wide open? She had shampoo on her hair, meaning she had to close her eyes to rinse that off. She had zero awareness. She was naked and wet. And all I could think was, when this person first came, the first knock, you yourself said,
That was weird.
Okay, you recognize that. It was weird when she came to your door. It was disturbing when she came again after your boyfriend had left. And it was terrifying when she was singing that rhyme around your house. What in the world makes you take a shower? I would have rather put on pants and some shoes so that in case of anything, I can book it. I would have called my boyfriend to say, not only is she back, she is singing. Neither of those things. She takes a shower and then uses the loudest dryer I've ever heard in my existence to dry her hair. But in a situation where someone is around your cabin, I think if we can forgive the shower, she should not have been drying her hair at all. At least she was dressed, not decently enough for running in the forest, but she was dressed enough to do something, finally. But instead, she goes drying her hair and then the lights go out. Personally, I wouldn't even try to flip the switch back on, because that is a vulnerable position in the first place. You only have that one torch. You can't see behind you or ahead of you at the same time. You would always have to turn your head 1 and turn your head 2 before moving. And I'm saying this because Maya knows that something is going wrong. When the lights go out, she leaves to go fix it, but then she hears a noise in the bathroom. I don't know what she thought was going to fall, how she put them, but she didn't stop to realize that, okay, that is not a normal sound to be coming out of that bathroom that I just left. She continues to move forward to find the switch, and then she runs into the first stranger, and she runs to hide with the torch on her phone still on. Maya was infuriating. Now we're going to rewrite this part of the story. I don't even know how long this took. I wish I had the strength to time how long this entire sequence was, but I don't have it in me. While I'm editing, I would put a time on how long from the first knock to her hiding was. It felt like eternity, to be honest, and it was just dragging. But I want to talk about smart things they could have done that does not take away from their story or what they were trying to do. First things first, the second knock. Like I said, the first time I wouldn't be that weirded out because it was short notice and the person coming to the door might not know that whoever was here before is not here now because it has been rented out to me and my boyfriend. Again, I wouldn't even open the door to a stranger, but that's just me. But I can forgive them doing it the first time. At the second knock, the first scenario they could have done was for her to keep quiet and quietly lock the door. Look through the peephole. Not that I'm agreeing with that anyway, but she has to know who's out there and it might be someone she knows. So look through the peephole because why not? And if it's not someone that she knows and the person knocks again, not identifying themselves, back away from the door, grab your phone, grab some pants, grab some shoes, and then stay in the kitchen. Honestly speaking, I don't even care if she smoked at this point. As long as she shows some urgency to keeping herself alert and safe, I would have appreciated it so very much. Secondly, if we keep the original in which she hears a knock and thinks it's her boyfriend and speaks, I still don't have a problem with that. She could speak, joke, and then on the next aggressive knock realize that, wait a minute, hold on, that is not my boyfriend. At that point, I wouldn't even say who is there, I'm just gonna keep quiet. I know they already know I'm in here since I mentioned, like, Ryan, is that you? I know they know I'm in here, but I will not engage with them anymore. I would lock the doors and back away. In both scenarios, I expect her to dress up. Why was she walking around in just a t-shirt? Was it just for them to have a shot of her looking good? I don't understand. Wear something, even if it's shorts. Dress up to run. Dress up to fight for yourself. Do something, Maya. Secondly, I would have her call her boyfriend. It's not very serious to call the cops yet, just to be like, I'm a little worried. I think the girl is back. She's knocking at the door right now and I'm unsettled. When she hears the singing, that is when I expect her to call the cops, because there is nothing in this planet that will make me hear Rockabye Baby sang in that tune by someone that should not be in close proximity to this cabin, and I would still be thinking, you know what, I think it's just weird. No, that's creepy. That is stalking behavior. And I will call the police. The reason I say call the police is because, one, Maya didn't look that threatened by the people around her when she agreed to get the house. She didn't seem to see the hostility even from the police. So there is nothing stopping her from calling the authorities when someone weird was at her door. She has no reason to trust that they are not decent people. Maya does not call the cops. Next, stay in the kitchen facing the rest of the house. I know there's a window behind her, but I feel like when it comes to places to be safe, she had the kitchen where, one, she could get a knife, a spoon, a spatula, some dish soap, something to defend herself when push came to shove. And two, if you were backing the window, you'd only not see the danger behind you. I guess that's fair, but at least if a head peeks out from a corner, or the knocking begins at the door again, or some shadow moves beneath the doors. In the kitchen, I think, if I remember the setup right, you can see most of the house. Maya, why didn't you stay in the kitchen? Again, if she didn't grab a weapon immediately, I still think that's fine. She doesn't know anyone is in the house at that point, so it's okay. But the fact that she was just so nonchalant is what is killing me. You can still make smart choices and have a good story. No playing the piano, no bathing, no drying hair. You can have a good story even with your protagonist having the right choices. Even if they get to die at the end, it doesn't always mean they should be dumb from the start. And the reason I couldn't get behind this is because, like I said, it was dragging. I feel like they were using her stupid choices to pad the time. So not only was I frustrated, I was about ready for her to die by the point of the bathing. At some point, even before the real action began, and I say real action loosely because it was barely even action, I was ready for her to die. All her choices frustrated, annoyed, and disappointed me. If you make your protagonist have 50% smart choices, 50% dumb ones, understandable. 60% smart, 40% dumb, understandable. Even if they die at the end, it would still at least be interesting that they were not complete idiots. And if also it was for the shots, because I don't understand any reason she'd be playing the piano if not for the shot of the stranger sitting behind her for maybe a poster or just to be like, oh my goodness, the stranger is here. No. You can still have that and have her make a smart choice. Example, let her stay in the kitchen. Like I said, she'll be back in the window so she cannot see what's behind her. You can have a stranger appear as she's shaking in fear, stretch out his hand to stroke the window as if he's stroking her hair. And then when she, looks behind her, finally maybe sensing something is wrong, they're gone. I feel like it's still as effective as the stranger behind her as she's playing the piano without it being completely stupid. I wouldn't completely roll my eyes at, okay, this was just for the shot. I would be like, whoa, she's in trouble and she is not even noticing it. Like, go look over your shoulder. And that is for the piano. The next thing they could have done instead of the bathing and the hair drying is maybe she realizes that her phone is running low. She's very unsettled, so she needs the phone to keep in touch with her boyfriend just in case things go from bad to worse. So that means she would have to leave the kitchen and go into the house. Have her, run into the house, leaving her without the safety of the kitchen. And as she's rummaging through her stuff, hurriedly trying to find this charger. You can have the stranger appear like he appeared while in the bathroom, and then when she, out of fear, looks over her shoulder just again to check, they're gone. And then she plugs it in, and just as she's getting to start charging, the lights go out. Why did I say just as she's getting to start charging? Because her phone is still going to die. So now she needs to leave the room to turn the lights back on so that her phone can charge. Yes, I know it's 2024 and a lot of people travel with power banks, but like I said, not all decisions have to be smart. So she has to leave to turn the lights on, and then boom, she sees the stranger. I feel like that is better than what they did, because you can see at least some fear and some urgency in her, while you can still see that there's nothing she can do because they're already in the house. You feel frustrated, maybe afraid. Invasion horror is very scary for me, but you are not insulted by her actions. So I feel like if they had done this instead of padding the time with stupidity, it would have been more interesting. I feel like when it comes to horror movies like this, I don't know why I get the sense that they prefer to pad time with stupidity, thinking it's better just to drag out the movie. If you want to pad the time, can't you do it smartly? Can't you do it better? Can't you do it in a more interesting way so that at least whoever is watching is still engaged and not frustrated? After I watched the movie, I went to watch a lot of reactions to it, and all my reactors couldn't just wait for the movie to be over. It's one thing to be on the killer's side. It's another thing to be on the killer's side because the main characters are stupid, and they don't all have to always be stupid. Like I said, percentages matter. You don't need to have 100% dumb idiot in a movie to make the movie longer or make the movie interesting. Examples of this: You're Next. Whoever has not watched that, I won't spoil it for you, but the main character, the girl, she was on point. From the moment the guy dropped dead, she was thinking. And I know that Maya doesn't have the same kind of training that I think her name was Erin had in Your Next, but still, some common sense. Home Alone is another good invasion horror, although I say horror loosely because it was actually comedy. But imagine being a child his age and you have two grown men trying to get into the house to possibly kidnap you or kill you and take your parents' stuff. He was a how many year old boy and still managed to recognize danger, call the cops, and then when the cops were late, save himself. The last is Don't Breathe. Now, the people that were invading turned out to not be as bad as the owner of the house, but when push came to shove, you saw them doing everything they could to stay alive. Did they make all smart choices? No, they made some, and they made some dumb ones. Example, again, another spoiler, the main girl that invaded with the other two boys tried to set free a kidnapped victim she found beneath the house, when they could have easily booked it out of there and sent the cops for her. Of course, there was no way of knowing if she would still be alive, but the time they wasted trying to get her free was the reason the man was at the door ready to shoot when they got there. If they had not struggled to find the key, they might have gone out of the house with enough time to come back and save her. But when you look at their dumb mistake, you can easily say empathy took over and they just wanted her to be safe first, not thinking of the time they were wasting. That is what I mean. Have your people make dumb decisions, but dumb decisions that people can more or less at some point understand. Things that are understandable but doesn't make your protagonist come off as a complete and total airhead. And I know as I'm saying all this, it might look like, oh, if they make all the right decisions and still die in the end, it might make the movie bad. I don't agree. I'll be angry, but it wouldn't make the movie bad. One dumb decision can be the cause of their death. Let's say they fought all this time and now it's down to them and the strangers and the gun, but they fire and it's a dud, so the strangers get to kill them. It still works. They can make smart choices and still end up dying. In a sea of horror movie stupidity, why not make this movie, your movie, stand out by making your characters have at least 60, 50, 40% smart decisions. Their smart decisions were as low as 5%. I can count them on my hand and have 4 fingers to spare. That's how bad it was. And now we get to the male character, Brian. My biggest problem with Ryan was that they decided when he was going to be smart and when he was going to be stupid. And when he was going to be stupid, it was bad because at least with Maya, she was a dummy from the beginning. Like from the very start, nothing was ringing in there. But with Ryan, they showed some level of awareness right from the start, only for it to, when it wasn't convenient, to pad the time for the story, for all his wisdom to vanish. Why I'm saying this is that at the beginning, he was the first one to at least say, this is weird.
No, this is a scam.
They saw us drive here, so he acknowledges that he feels they had something to do with his car. And we as an audience know he's only staying at this Airbnb because his girlfriend, talked him into it. So he was already basically suspicious of the people in the town. And then, while he was out getting them dinner, she called him. Maya called him to tell him that girl is back. The girl that they both recognized as being weird for being at the cabin was back knocking while he wasn't there. Then he gets home, the lights are out, he finds his girlfriend cowering in a closet, scared, afraid, with her lights out and shining, dumb. And she tells him, did you see anybody out there? There was someone in the house. And Ryan's first thought was to ask, did you smoke, babe? Did you light up the weed? What? You already suspect these people. I don't care if she didn't mention the singing. I don't care if she never told him about the crash around the house. I don't care. If you thought they were scamming you, look how quickly they gave you this Airbnb. Like, your car is spoiled, well, there's a place you can stay. How convenient. Then your girlfriend says there's someone in the house. You know you didn't check this house top to bottom when you came. So what makes you not think your girlfriend is telling the truth? Maybe they want to rob you. That is why they have your card spoiled, and now you have to stay with your things and possibly your money, even if it's on your phone, because they can at gunpoint make you transfer cash. What makes you think they're not trying to get you to this secure location to rob you? The first thing out of your mouth is, babe, did you smoke? Then he hears the knock, acknowledges that he's frustrated with all this knocking, because I'm pretty sure he still remembers that she told him that girl came back. Tried to do that.
Yeah, you better run.
Goes back in the house and proceeds to do what? Yes, he proceeds to have dinner, eating with his girlfriend, who he has gaslit to convince her that the person she saw face to face was a clown painting across the room. How is that possible? How are you this chill? One incident is fine. Your car. Okay, it might have just been something that was going wrong with it a day before and now it's manifesting. The second incident, the knock. The third, the knock while you were out. The fourth, the so-called might be person that might be inside the house. The fifth, the knock again. Did you have to wait for the chicken bleeding from the rooftop before you realize that, okay, pause, we are in danger? For Ryan, I'm not going to take a long time to describe what I think or feel like he should have done, that even though he made stupid decisions, they might have been a better way to pad the time. Let's try scenario 1. Your girlfriend calls and tells you that she's scared because, or worried, she didn't say scared, worried because the person you saw the first time is back and knocking. You're worried, you get back to the house, lights are off, you find your girlfriend, she tells you someone was home. How about we finally have a boyfriend that says, seriously? And then goes checking. Whether you believe her or not, whether you think she's been smoking or not, how about you take her hand, hug her if you need to, as I said, stupidity, take some time to have emotions, tell her to breathe, calm down, honey, I'm here. And then, to prove to her that she's wrong, how about you go checking the house? Not only would you prove that, hey babe, you're out of your mind, at least at that point you're also being safe by checking the house that had not just one, but 2 unlocked doors. Anyone could have come in at any moment. And no one thought about that. Then, as you were checking, like I said, time padding, you could have padded the time with him checking the house with her, and just as they are about to get to a door that maybe one of the strangers is behind, they hear the knock, and they have to leave that door that would have obviously showed the threat, and Ryan gets angry as he does in the original movie, goes, opens. By original movie, I mean the actual movie I'm talking about, not like the original movie. He goes to check the door, harasses the girl as he does, and then he goes back in. And because I said have some level of balance, I wouldn't have minded at this point if at that time they went to eat. Because one, Ryan has checked the house. Save he didn't check one door, but he has checked most of the house and has now convinced his girlfriend that was erratic that, hey, it might have just been the weed and the beer that made you see this mask. And they settle down. He tells her it's fine. If they come back, we'll call the cops, babe. Don't worry, eat your meal. And as they're eating, the blood happens. That was still ridiculous. But still, like I said, not every decision has to be smart and not everything has to be dumb. Scenario 2. Ryan comes in, and just as in the movie, he doesn't believe Maya because he believes Maya has smoked a little weed. But as he's saying this to her, he hears the knock. And because he says, I'm sick of this, he says it himself. When he goes out there, the girl is creepy, and then when he tries to go after her, she runs. So when he comes back in, have him look at his girlfriend and say, did you actually see someone in the house? And if she says, I don't know, it shouldn't matter. He will take her, lock the door. In fact, I just realized that he didn't lock the door. As I'm speaking, the movie came into my head that when they were eating and they saw the chicken bleed, he said, Maya, get the front door. They didn't lock the door again. Oh my goodness. I'm remembering it now and I'm frustrated all over again. But I'm not going to lose plot. Have him go back inside, ask if she saw someone, and when she says yes, have him take her and have him start looking around. I don't mind that they don't initially see the chicken. Let's just say they're focused on what they're doing and people rarely look up, okay? So he's searching. Like I said, not everything has to be smart. Maybe he gets frustrated and he doesn't finish the rest of the house. They settle down to eat and then the blood. I don't mind some stupid decisions, but everything this couple did back to back to back to back was just dumber, and just plain stupidity. No single, even when they were trying to be smart, it wasn't even an inkling of wisdom because they backed it up seconds later with foolishness. And like I said, we're at the peak of the so-called action, the bleeding chicken.
Get the door! Lock the front door!
I cannot even believe I'm starting the action with go lock the door. Like, excuse me, it wasn't locked already. I can understand if the boyfriend didn't lock the door because he wasn't as scared as she was, but why didn't they make her at least already lock the door? And I don't want anyone to tell me it's because of the axe through the door scene. I don't care. You could have done that anywhere else. When she was barricading the room door with, was it a dresser? Was it a cupboard? I don't even know. When she was barricading the door, you could have had the entire accident. I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to point out some things after the entire chicken bleeding from the ceiling scene that really pissed me off, and then compare it to other movies before we get to the end of this. All the while leading up to the chicken bleeding scene, this couple have been inactive. Now, I know when it comes to danger, people have the whole flight or fight mode, but there's also freeze. Sometimes when faced with dangerous or uncertain situations, people could either run, fight, or, which is not spoken of much, they can freeze. So I understand when they were in the room, why they chose to just cower down, blank staring at the door. You don't know what you're going to do. It spares some people freeze. The problem is that this entire movie has just been on freeze mode. So why would you think it's a better idea that, you know what, we were dragging our feet all the way to the action and we will drag our feet in the action too? I would have preferred their freeze mode if it was forced on them. Example, they ran into the room, but when they tried to, maybe they tried to get out the window because they were cowering by a window. when they would try to get out the window, they would realize that it was nailed shut. I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't ask questions because these two airheads never checked around the house when they got in and when there was a threat of an invader. So they would not have known if any of the windows were hammered shut. Maybe they nailed the room windows shut, and when they tried to escape, it was obviously no way to go out. If they didn't try to break the window, I wouldn't even mind. I would not mind if they started cowering at that point. Yet all they did was sit back and cower. My goodness. Part 2. The audacity of him when the axle stopped to look out the door and go like,
They're gone.
you were wrong the first time when the girl that came to the door, she didn't leave. You were wrong when your girlfriend told you that someone was in the house and you said they were not. They didn't leave. And now for the third time in this movie, you are guessing again that they're gone. What was he not understanding? Yeah, you get the point that they are messing with you. You get it now. But you think that they would ask two doors and then just be like, we scared them enough. Let's leave. 3 times? When they finally left the house, he picked up, I forgot what he picked up as a weapon, and he was like, it's better than nothing. If it was better than nothing, you would have picked up anything from that house. You didn't pick up, they were drinking beer. Then the girl, the boy, no one tried to grab onto those things. When they said, get the door, I think I'm not wrong, he was locking the kitchen window. When she ran to get the door, he didn't pick up a knife. How dare you have the audacity to hold that weapon, because it wasn't just anything, and then say better than nothing. There were a lot of better than nothing things happening in that cabin that you just left. You could have Let me play a clip from Prison Break from someone who had no option but was doing everything to save her own life. Better than nothing would have been them breaking the window and grabbing a shot to shank, stab, or hurt anyone that dare come close. The next scene and the last scene I'm going to mention, because it all is just the same thing to me, and again, I don't want this video to be long. They finally get into a shed, I think it was a workshop, I'm not sure, and he goes up to look for some more weapons. And I don't remember correctly, so I would type the correction when I get to editing, but I think she was holding the axe and somebody grabbed her from behind a window. Again, I hate to speak like this because I know if I was in their situation, I probably would scream, freeze, or whatnot, but it's a movie, entertain me. Your boyfriend went up the stairs and there was already someone in there with you. What makes you think, maybe they weren't thinking, that there's not someone up there killing him as you speak? Defend yourself. She didn't. She just kept screaming. And the reason this pissed me off and why it's the last thing, is like all their action that they try to put in is just followed by more dragging their feet. Do something else. You've done this the entire runtime and you're still doing it now. I'm going to play a couple of more scenes. This one is from Daredevil. I've forgotten the episode, but I think it's episode 1. You see her fighting for her life. Whether she survives or not, at least she is fighting. She just held the axe. Do something. Even when she first saw the lady in the house, she ran and hid again. In a room that had items that she could throw, when her boyfriend opened the door, all she did was scream and put her hands up. She didn't try to throw anything, and she kept that same energy. Which takes me to when a stranger calls. Throughout until the action point of that movie, this girl was getting calls from someone who was obviously trying to torment her to find him. And she wasn't sure where he was calling from. She did a few foolish things, but again, you want to understand her choices like you're trying to understand the choices made in this movie. There was a point towards the end leading up to the action where she sees a light and she would have to run. Again, she ran and she didn't walk. She had to get there to see if there was someone that could help. And she ran. You could argue that one, she was there to babysit and she didn't even check on the kids. She left the kids in the house. How was she sure he was there? She didn't know. But she ran with a torchlight and she got there. There was no one there. He called again, I think, I'm not sure, but she had to get back to the house. And while running back, her torchlight fell. If you follow cliches, You would think she would try and pick that up, right? And then a hand would grab her. She didn't even flinch. She was running. She left the torchlight back where it was. That is what I'm talking about when I say sometimes just abandon the cliches because you are drowning your movie in it. She ran back in the house. By the way, she was on call with the police all this time. I'm holding this against them because these two airheads also dropped their phones. Oh my goodness, give me mercy. Anyway, the police call back and tell her that the person that has been calling from the house. That is the first time in a long time that this girl goes to check on the kids. But at least the second she gets them, it is go, 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 go. She tries everything possible to get them to safety. I am pretty sure that this teenage girl has not been in any chances like this to defend her life, but she gave it her all. At some point, her hair gets caught in the door. I think he held her hair before the door gets closed, and she yanks her hair out of it immediately. He tumbles her on the stairs, and she sees she can't kick or push him off. She throws both their body off the staircase, and he hits the floor. He starts to strangle her. She's picking everything around her to hit him with. She's picking, I think, the fire poker, anything she can get her hand on. She picks a drink, he tosses it out of her hand. She picks something else, he breaks it out of her hand, but she doesn't stop. How does this teenage girl lock in like this? I mean, you see her making some bad decisions, but she's so into defending herself. You're like, yes, go, do something. I'm on your side. But with the lady, I don't know how it's possible that at this point of recording, I've forgotten her name, so forgive me, bad of me. But the lady does nothing. She does nothing. The man also does nothing. Don't count when he shoots the stranger, because the audacity of them to have him shoot someone that is not looking, only for him to finally have someone in his shot and is like, tell me where she is. What makes you think they're going to tell you? She starts to freak and you're still like, stop. You think you're my first? I will shoot you. Shoot her then. No, he decides to talk. The Strangers Chapter 1 was boring. And there are a lot of movies that are rated really low by critics and audience that I have watched that were not boring. Despite the thoughts around them, despite the people not liking them, there are a lot of movies that I've watched that was so enjoyable to me. The Strangers Chapter 1 is not one of those movies. But I want to give the example with The Intruder. The Intruder is a favorite movie of mine. Judge me. I watch a lot of low-class movies and they keep me entertained. What I liked about The Stranger was that, for one, they flipped the entire spouse doesn't believe you trope. Because it's usually the guys that don't believe. It's the men that listen and watch their girlfriends or their wives lose their mind. I think he was more aware of what was going on and the lady was just doubtful.
It's ridiculous.
Oh my God, you don't see it.
When at some point he heard things moving in the house, she told him, babe, it's an old house, it creaks. And as someone who lives in an old house, everything creaks, so you can understand that. When he started to see that the older man they bought their house from was becoming obsessed with his wife, he tried to explain it to her, but she didn't see it. She just saw him as a lonely old man whose daughter has moved away and he is waiting for her to come back, until the husband got in an accident. And he finally used the accident to point out to her that this man that she is giving all her kindness to is weird.
How did he know? How did he know I wasn't here?
And the minute that happens, she's all in. She has no doubt whatsoever. As soon as he makes it clear,
This guy is dangerous.
and it sinks in her head, there is no slowness. That is the point where the action starts, although there was no action at that point. She sees him again, the older man, in her house, and I love that she didn't give away that she knew he was weird. She smiled as she usually would. She thanked him for coming over. They talked, they laughed. As soon as he was out of her point of view, she was locking doors, picking up her phone, looking for who to call. There was no, thank goodness I've locked him out of the house. let me rest. She was on high alert. And when she heard something creaking upstairs, she didn't put it as it's an old house, it creaks. She went up to investigate. Again, investigating is not my thing, but he might be outside, so you understand why she wants to investigate from inside. She finds the place. She falls down to the little tunnel he's been using to come in and out of their house. And she walks all the way to the outside of her home to see him freaking out. He sees her, he chases her. She runs, she forgot the way she came in. So she goes the wrong way and opens what she thinks is a door, but it's a freezer. And in it is the body of her husband's best friend. She collapses. 1, 2, she picks herself up and runs out crying. She doesn't sit there mourning the guy when someone is running behind her coming to get her. She picks her phone up to try and call for help, and that is where he attacks her until he manages to knock her out. Like he was tossing this lady fridge to door to floor. To me, I just feel like they dragged their feet all the way to action, then drag their feet during the action too. When it comes to reboots or remakes, I still don't know which one I would use for this movie. There are a few that I've seen. I only found out that they were reboots/remakes when I started watching reactions on YouTube. The first example is Star Trek. There are mixed feelings about this. I've seen mostly good things from people who have watched the original Star Trek, and also there are others that have watched it and did not like it, whether or not they watched the original Star Trek or not. When it comes to me, I adore, A-D-O-R-E, adore the entire franchise. I am waiting for part 4 if that ever gets greenlit. I think as a reboot or remake, it is good. I loved it. The next is Battlestar Galactica. I know I'm mentioning series when I'm talking about a movie, but I don't really know a lot of movie reboot remakes. Battlestar Galactica, I watched it in 2000 and forgotten the last 2 digits, but when I started watching reactions, I saw a lot of people talking about the original, they changed this and that, but I've only seen a lot of positive reviews about Battlestar Galactica. I think that being a reboot or a remake does not excuse your story from trying to be good, which is what I feel like this movie suffers from. I don't know, it just didn't feel like a lot of effort went into making this reboot or remake good. Maybe it's just me. If you're doing something that has been done before, wouldn't you want it to be that they would say it rivaled the first one, it was better, it was almost there? Not that they would say it's bad. Whether you want the comparison or not, because it's a reboot/remake, the comparison is going to be there always. Now, this movie that's going to be my final example is not a reboot or a remake. It's a sequel. Smile 2 is a sequel to Smile 1. When they made Smile 1, I think it got a very big positive review. When Smile 2 was announced, it looked to everyone, at least to me, like they were doing the thing where, oh, it's successful, let's churn out more. Now, a lot of people have said that Smile 2 may be a little overhyped. I don't know about your perspective, but for me, it was such a pleasure to see the story still be engaging, not as if they wrote it to just ride the high that Smile 1 had. Let me point out a lot. In The Strangers Chapter 1, you can see a lot of similarities between The Strangers and the original movie. The bathing scene felt to me, like I said, all to me. It felt to me like the bathing scene was only there because in the original, the girl did take a bath. Although they took the bath at different times, and I've remembered her name now, Maya. Maya's time was worse. Her timing for her bath was terrible, but I felt like they did that because it was in the original movie. Same with the shooting of the man that came to fix the fridge. In the original movie, he shot either his brother or his friend. I don't know if they were family or friends, but he had called him earlier to come pick him up, I think. See, I haven't reviewed the movie still because I'm trying to be a little unbiased, but I may be spitting out trash lines right now, so forgive me. But I think he called him to pick him up because his girlfriend didn't agree to the engagement, and he arrived after things have hit the fan. They couldn't hear him because of the music. I don't know why he didn't turn that off, and he got shot in the face. This one, they called him to fix the fridge just to chill some beer. I don't want to get into this right now. Anyway, there were a lot of similarities between The Strangers Chapter 1 and The Strangers. Why I'm mentioning this is that my point of view of Smile 2 is that, funny enough, if I look at it the way I was looking at it, it was a carbon copy. It was literally almost the same thing as Smile 1. It followed the exact same pattern. Part 1, you get the demon in you by watching someone die. Rose saw Laura die, and then she started seeing Laura around her home. The further it got into the days, the demon learned and started showing her trauma to her instead of Laura. What's her name again? Sky. Sky saw Louis die, and then she started seeing him around her home until it got further in the days. The demon learned and started showing her real trauma, which was, her mental issues with her friend and her boyfriend. Some of the scares were also the same, like when Rose heard something in the recording and she kept increasing the volume to hear what it was, and then I think it was her mom that shouted by her ear and she fell down. It's the same thing that happened when Sky was watching the recording of a guy who was saying, "Do you see it? It's just standing there smiling at me." And then her boyfriend that died in the crash screamed her name or screamed at her from the side. Those two, exact same thing. When Rose went to her cabin to kind of finally give the demon the big middle finger, the demon made her hallucinate being in control. When Sky got the hand shoved down her mouth, the demon also made her hallucinate being in control. It was the same thing. She was like, "You are in my mind. I own this, blah, blah, blah." She burns the house down. That is Rose, by the way. And Sky also had a moment of, "You know what? You're in my mind. I control this." Both of them were so very, very wrong. Why do I think that this was a good sequel though? It's because there are things they added to the second movie that, whether it was the writer's intention or not, it made the first movie better in my eyes. Example, Sky losing track of time. Now, we don't get to see a lot of Rose's time, whatever, nothing about time, but we do know that she didn't remember killing Mustache. All she knew was that her cat was missing. That was time that lady had lost, and she doesn't remember it. Also, there was a jump scare, or a scare in general, where she was in her room and I think she saw her mother in the doorway. She turned into the bed. The next thing she knew, there was a scream and she was immediately in the middle of the road about to be hit by a car. Now, I first took that as it was just them switching to a new scene, and it could have just been that. But because I watched Smile 2, it made me feel like she was also losing time the same way Sky was losing time. That could also be a jump as to she thought she was in bed getting scared, but actually she's walking in the middle of the road about to be hit by a car. The hallucinations from Smile 2 also made me see Smile 1 differently. Example, when she figured out that she would just kill the schizophrenic, I thought that she was having a nightmare. Like she was imagining what would happen if she did it, and it freaked her out. But after watching Smile 2, I started to wonder, what if it was just the demon messing with her? It made her do, how would I put it? You see how it made Sky think that she killed her mother, took a gun, escaped in a car and drove off? I feel like it also made her think she got a knife, walked in, and actually started committing the murder until she snapped back into it and woke up screaming. because I watched Smile 2, I no longer see that as her having a nightmare of her being unable to kill. Rather, it was just the demon that, was making fun of her. Like I said, this is a sequel and not a reboot, so I don't want to be unfair in the comparison, but I feel like at least for Smile 2, they tried. They didn't just try, they did their job to make sure that if you mention Smile 1 and Smile 2 in the same conversation, Smile 2 has a chance for an argument. Like, people have said it's better than the first. People said it lived up to the hype of the first. I've seen a few people that say it's not as good as what people are making it out to be. Everybody's opinion is different. But there at least is a discussion. Maybe I haven't looked enough, but when it comes to The Strangers Chapter 1, the discussion is on the low. Oh my goodness. That is basically where I want to end this video, with this comparison, because they could have done so much with this rewriting, reimagining. I don't know what I still don't understand the whole issue with describing what this movie is. They could have done it better. They could have put, even if you want to do cliches, there are smart ways to do the whole cliches that do not drain your movie out of its entertainment. At some point, the movie wasn't even entertaining. The Strangers wasn't funny, it was just painful. So thank you for watching this long video. You can comment your thoughts. Maybe you're one of the few people that actually enjoyed The Strangers. Say what you liked about the movie, and I will see you on the next video, I guess. Merry Christmas, although I'm not sure when this video is going to come out. All the same, see you on the next video.